Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel today. This is freeze-dried sliced potatoes. This is freeze-dried mashed potatoes. And in this video, we're going to test them out and see which one is the best way to preserve your potatoes. Recently, they had a sale on at a local grocery store. In the area, it was 10 pounds of potatoes for $1. That's a super great deal. And I always say that freeze drying is a great way to save money because you can purchase the sales and you can preserve the food for 20, 30 years. So what I did is I freeze dried 120 pounds of potatoes. I freeze dried them by mashing them, and I also freeze dried by slicing them. In this video, I'm going to taste these potatoes. I'm going to tell you which one I think is the best way to preserve your potatoes. But before we do that, let's kind of look at the entire process of what it's like to freeze dry 120 pounds of potatoes. Now, I'm not going to show you this in real time. It would take a long time. This video took us in preparation probably over a week to create. So I'm going to kind of just give you clips of our freeze drying adventure, 120 pounds of potatoes. All right, so we peeled a lot of potatoes in order to make this video happen. It took several hours to peel 120 pounds of potatoes. I even had to get my wife and kids involved in order to get them all peeled, but we finally got it done. We used a mandolin to slice the potatoes, and we put everything into a big bowl. We also chopped up potatoes in a large pot to boil. It took about 45-50 minutes in order to get those potatoes soft. We mashed them up and then added them to the freeze drying trays. About 5 pounds of potatoes per tray, and that is 5 trays that we used every single time we freeze dried. So we used the same method for the sliced potatoes. We made sure that we put them into hot water and gave them an ice bath and put them on the trays. The mashed potatoes, they were a tight fit. Make sure that you are aware of the height, but we threw them in there, and it took a long time to freeze dry these potatoes, easily about 40 hours, 45 hours of freeze drying time. Then we took them and packaged them in bags and divide them all up, put them in bags, made sure that we also put oxygen absorber in there, and then we sealed them twice and put them away in storage, and that was the mashed potatoes. Now, for the sliced potatoes, same idea. Again, you want to make sure that height restriction you're aware of, but we took those potatoes and put them into the freeze dryer. We made sure that the valve was closed, and then we hit that start button, and we let them freeze dry. And it took several days for the sliced potatoes to freeze dry. I'm going to say around 32 hours. I don't remember the exact time, but it did take shorter. It was shorter than the mashed potatoes. We took those freeze-dried potatoes, those sliced potatoes, and threw them in Mylar bags with an oxygen absorber. And then we also sealed them, and we made sure we double sealed them, and they were ready to be stored away on our storage shelf. All right, so we're going to reconstitute the sliced potatoes, and we're also going to reconstitute the mashed potatoes. The mashed potatoes, I'm just going to add water, some hot water, and that should bring them back real simple. For the sliced potatoes, I'm going to add them to a pot here of some melted butter, and I'm also going to fry up some corned beef as well, which I used to have this a lot as a kid. This is a great way if you are camping, hiking. We used to do this a lot when we went ice fishing, only we used canned potatoes and not freeze-dried potatoes, but it should work the same way. I'm going to start by just putting the potatoes in some water. Here's the oxygen absorber. Here's the potatoes. Oops, light and flaky. So we're going to throw them in some water. Now these are blanched, so we did put them in some hot water, some boiling hot water for a few moments before we actually freeze dried them. So these are going to cook up here, these potatoes. I got a little bit of water and butter. And we'll fry those up. I'll also throw a little bit of corned beef in there as well. Next, let's look at the mashed potatoes. All right, mashed potatoes, so just a powder almost. And we're gonna add some hot water. You can see it's starting to pull in all of that moisture there. Our potatoes are definitely getting there. Mashed potatoes, and then these are sliced potatoes here. We obviously want to make sure that they absorb enough moisture so that they're nice and soft, but I think we need some salt and pepper. Some salt and some pepper. A little more butter. Mashed potatoes are looking incredible. Actually, they look amazing. Came back perfectly there. Wow. Want those potatoes to brown up a little bit more. Throw that corned beef in there. The thing with corned beef is it looks awfully lot like dog food. And some potatoes. And then next, our mashed potatoes. Some mashed. All right, let's go taste these and see what we think. All right, we are ready to eat. So this is freeze-dried potatoes two ways: sliced potatoes and then mashed potatoes. Let me give you a little bit of a hint when it comes to mashed potatoes. When you're mashing potatoes, it's best to break up the potatoes, crunch them up, maybe even put a roll-in pin over the bag and kind of just crunch it all up. I find that when you reconstitute it, it's going to be faster and it's going to be more thorough. If you just throw it into a bag and add water, you're going to have bits and pieces of hard potato here and there. So not the greatest thing, but these potatoes turned out very well. They look amazing. They look just like the potatoes that we cooked. If you're interested in buying a freeze dryer, it's a great way to save money. Again, I purchased these potatoes, 120 pounds, for only $12, which is pretty incredible. And now we have potatoes to last a very long time. Here is the mashed potatoes. Yeah. If you told me you just cooked these, I wouldn't know it. I wouldn't know the difference. I mean that with all honesty. I wouldn't know the difference. These taste exactly like the way mashed potatoes should be. And this is without any seasoning. This is without any butter. This is just plain potatoes, and they taste incredible. Okay. Let's look at the next one here. This is the corned beef. Now, the corned beef wasn't freeze-dried. Corned beef it's interesting. It's something that you really have to be used to. I grew up onto it, so I'm used to eating it. But this corned beef and these potatoes are delicious. Wow, so good. I cooked them in butter, so they when they reconstitute, they suck in a lot of that butter. This is the way sliced potatoes should be cooked. So good, delicious. I think this is a win for both mashed and sliced. And if you have a lot of potatoes and you're looking for a way to preserve them, then I would just recommend doing half and half. These are excellent, and they would be terrific for even adding to scallop potatoes or other recipes. If you're interested in purchasing your very own Harvest Right freeze dryer, you can use my affiliate link in the description. Also, make sure you like this video. It helps to spread the word and get our content out to other freeze dryers. Make sure you also subscribe to Better Home Living, where we have content about freeze dryers and about how to make our life and home better. Cheers to potatoes. We'll see you in the next video.